Assalamu alaikum. Today I will discuss about endocrinology. This is introduction to endocrinology. So, coordination of body functions by chemical messengers. The multiple activities of the cells, tissues, and organs of the body are coordinated by the interplay of several types of chemical messenger system. This is guide on number chapter 75, edition 14th, introduction to endocrinology. That is, today we will discuss about the starting or introduction of endocrinology. Multiple activities of the cells, tissues, and organs of the body are coordinated by the interplay of several types of chemical messenger system. One, neurotransmitters that are released by axon terminals of neurons into the synaptic junctions and act locally, control nerve cell functions. Endocrine hormones are released by the glands or are specialized cells into the circulating blood and influence the function of target cells at another location of the body. Neuroendocrine hormones are secreted by the neurons into the circulating blood and influence the function of target cells at another location in the body. What is paracrines? Paracrines are secreted by cells into the extracellular fluid and affect neighboring target cell at different time. What is autocrine? Are secreted autocrines. Autocrines are secreted by cells into the extracellular fluid and affect the function of the same cell. Cytokines. Cytokines are peptides secreted by cells into the extracellular fluid and can function as autocrines, paracrines, and endocrine hormones. So, neurotransmitter. What is neurotransmitter? They are released at the junction of synapse. Endocrine, released by the glands or specialized cells into the circulating blood, and function of target cell at another location of the body. Neuroendocrine, that is neuro and endocrine are secreted by neurons but not in the synaptic junction in the circulating blood. Paracrine secreted by the cell into the extracellular fluid and affect neighboring target cell of a different type. Not same type, but autocrine secreted by the cell and function at the same cell. Cytokines are peptides that is secreted by the cells into the extracellular fluid and can function as autocrine, paracrine, or endocrine hormones. So, what are the cytokines? Interleukin, lymphokine. Cytokine hormones like leptin produced by adipocytes are sometimes called adipokines. So, in the next few chapters, we discuss mainly the endocrine and neuroendocrine hormone system. Many of the body's chemical messenger systems interact with one another to maintain homeostasis. So these hormones are neurotransmitters are chemical messenger. For example, the adrenal medulla and the pituitary gland secrete their hormones primarily in response to neural stimuli. The neuroendocrine cells located in the hypothalamus, have axons that terminate in the posterior pituitary gland and median eminence, and secrete several neurohormones, including antidiuretic hormone, oxytocin, hypopituitary hormone, which control the secretion of antipituitary. So, the neuroendocrine cells are present in the hypothalamus. The endocrine hormones are carried by the circulatory system to cells throughout the body, including the nervous system in some cases, where they bind with receptors and initiate many cell reactions. Some endocrine hormones affect many different types of cells of the body. For example, growth hormone from the antipituitary gland causes growth of most of the parts of the body, and thyroxine from the thyroid gland increases the rate of many chemical reactions in almost all the body's cells. So, endocrine hormones like growth hormone secreted from the pituitary, thyroxine from the thyroid gland. Other hormones like affect many specific target tissues. Specific, but this growth hormone is general hormone. The thyroxine is general hormone. Like adrenocorticotropic hormone from the pituitary gland specifically stimulate adrenal cortex and causing it to secrete adrenocortical hormone. And the ovarian hormones have their main effects on the female sex organs and the secondary sexual characteristics of the female body. The multiple hormone systems play a key role in regulating almost all body functions, including metabolism, growth and development, water and electrolyte balance, reproduction and behavior. For example, without growth hormone, a person would have very short stature. Without thyroxine and triiodothyronine from the thyroid gland, almost all the chemical reactions of the body would become sluggish, become sluggish, and the person would become sluggish as well. Without insulin from the pancreas, the body's cell could use little of the good carbohydrate for energy, and without the sex hormone, sexual development and sexual functions will be absent. So today next we will discuss about the chemical structure and synthesis of hormones. Three general classes of hormone exist: protein, polypeptide, steroids, steroid hormone, and derivatives of amino acid and tyrosine. Protein and polypeptide, including polypeptide hormones secreted by the antipituitary and posterior pituitary gland, the pancreas, the parathyroid gland, and many others. So, if you asked protein and polypeptide hormone, which hormones are protein and polypeptide, you will remember that the hormones secreted from the anterior and posterior pituitary gland, the pancreas, the parathyroid gland, and many other parathyroid gland. Steroid hormones are secreted by the adrenal cortex, like cortisol, aldosterone, ovaries, estrogen and progesterone, testes, testosterone, and the placenta, estrogen and progesterone. Derivatives of amino acid tyrosine secreted by the thyroid, thyroxine and tryptophan, and the adrenal medulla, epinephrine, norepinephrine. So you will have to remember this classification. Polypeptide and protein hormones stored in the secretory vesicles until needed. Very important to remember. The protein and polypeptide hormones are stored in secretory vesicles until needed. Most of the hormones in the body are polypeptide and proteins. These hormones range in size from a small peptide with as few as 3 amino acids, thyroid releasing hormone, 3 amino acid. These hormones range in size from a small peptide as few as 3 amino acid, like thyroid releasing hormone, to almost 200 amino acid growth hormone. So, what does it indicate? 3 amino acid hormone, thyroid releasing, more than 200 amino acid hormone, growth hormone. In general, polypeptides with 100 or more amino acids are called proteins, and those with fewer than 100 amino acids referred to as peptides. So, growth hormone is peptide hormone, and less than 100 polypeptides with 100 or more amino acids are protein hormones. Protein and peptide hormones are synthesized on the rough end of endoplasmic reticulum of the different endocrine cells in the same fashion as most other proteins. So where they are synthesized? Synthesized from the rough endoplasmic reticulum of different endocrine cells. They usually synthesized first as larger proteins that are not biologically active, pre-prohormones, then flipped to form smaller prohormones in the endoplasmic reticulum. These prohormones are then transferred to Golgi apparatus for packaging into secretory vesicles. So we know that endoplasmic reticulum, that is rough endoplasmic reticulum, synthesizes proteins, that is pre-prohormones. These pre-prohormones, these pre-prohormones are clipped in the endoplasmic reticulum, and they then transferred to the Golgi apparatus for packaging into secretory vesicles. This is not active form. In this process, enzymes in the vesicles cleave the free hormones to produce smaller biologically active hormones and inactive fragments. The vesicles are stored within the cytoplasm, and many are bound to cell membrane until their secretion is needed. Secretion of the hormones as well as the inactive fragments occurs when the secretory vesicles fuse with the cell membrane and the granular contents are extruded into the interstitial fluid or directly into the bloodstream by exocytosis. In many cases, the stimulus of or exocytosis is increased cytosolic calcium concentration caused by depolarization of the plasma membrane. In other cases, stimulation of an endocrine cell surface receptor causes increased cyclic CMP and subsequently activation of protein kinase that initiates secretion of hormone. The peptide hormones are water soluble. Very important character. This is water soluble allowing them to enter the circulatory system easily where they are carried to their target tissues. Next, steroid hormone. Steroid hormones are usually synthesized from cholesterol and are not stored. These are not stored. Steroid hormones have a chemical structure that is similar to cholesterol and in most cases are synthesized from cholesterol. They are lipid soluble and consist of three cyclohexyl ring and one cyclopentyl ring combined into a single structure. Although there is usually very little hormone storage in steroid producing endocrine cells, large stores of cholesterol esters in cytoplasm vacuoles can be rapidly mobilized from steroid synthesis to stimulus. So we know that steroid hormones are not stored, but few amount may be stored. May be stored. Much of the cholesterol in steroid producing cell comes from the plasma, but there is also de novo synthesis of cholesterol in steroid producing cells because steroids are highly lipid soluble once they are synthesized and they can simply diffuse across the cell membrane and enter the interstitial fluid and then the blood. So what does it means? Much of the cholesterol in steroid producing cells comes from the plasma, but there are also de novo synthesis of cholesterol in steroid producing cells. Because steroids are highly lipid soluble, once they are synthesized, they can simply diffuse across the cell membrane and enter the interstitial fluid and then blood. Next is amino acid derivatives. Amino acid amino hormones are derived from tyrosine. The two groups of hormones derived from tyrosine, the thyroid hormone and adrenal medullary, formed by the actions of enzymes in the cytoplasmic compartment of glandular cells. Thyroid hormones are synthesized and stored in the thyroid gland and incorporated into macromolecules of protein hemoglobin, which is stored in large molecules within the thyroid. So, the thyroid hormones are synthesized and stored in the thyroid gland and incorporated into macromolecules of protein thyroglobulin. This is stored in large follicle within the thyroid gland. Hormone secretion occurs and the amine cell is split from thyroglobulin. The free hormones are then released into the bloodstream. After entering the blood, most of the thyroid hormones combine with plasma proteins, especially thyroid-binding globulin, which slowly releases the hormone to the target tissues. Epinephrine and norepinephrine are formed in the adrenal medulla, which normally secretes about 4 times more epinephrine than norepinephrine. Catecholamine are taken up into the preformed vesicle and stored and secreted. Similar to the protein hormone stored in the secretory granules, catecholamines are also released from the adrenomedullary cells by exocytosis. Once the catecholamine enter the circulation, they can exist in the plasma in free form and in conjugation with other substances. So these three types of hormones you will have to know. In the next session, we'll discuss about hormone secretion, transport, and clearance from the blood. Thank you.